I'm going to prove in the next 30 seconds why almost every self-improvement journey fails. This tiny rubber band explains something psychologists have known for decades. You can force change, but unless one thing changes, you'll always end up back where you started. Imagine there's a man who has spent years living on autopilot. He sleeps through his alarms, he procrastinates on work that matters, he orders junk food even when he promised himself that he would eat clean. Every night he tells himself, tomorrow will be different, and every morning it isn't. Then one day something finally clicks. He decides he's had enough. So he starts waking up at 6 a.m, he goes to the gym, he meal preps, he reads before bed instead of scrolling on his phone. For the first time in years, it feels like his life is finally moving in the right direction. But then life happens. He skips one workout, then another. He orders fast food just this once. He sleeps through his alarm on a rainy Monday. And within weeks, he's back to scrolling for hours, eating the same junk food, making the same excuses, and telling himself the exact same lie again. I'll start again tomorrow. No matter how hard he tried to stretch himself into becoming someone new, he always snapped back to the same place. Most people think this happens because they lack discipline. But that's not true. It happens because every one of us has something that psychologists often call a self-identity. The internal picture your brain has of who you are. It's the story running quietly in the background that I'm the kind of person who always procrastinates, I've never been athletic, or I'm terrible at sticking to routines and I'm just not disciplined. Whether you say these words out loud or not, it doesn't really matter. If your brain believes in them, it will consistently try to make your actions match that story. And this is why the rubber band is such a powerful metaphor. Every habit you build, every workout, every early morning, every healthy meal stretches the band further away from your own life. But the band isn't trying to stay stretched, it's trying to return to where it naturally rests. Your identity works the exact same way. If deep down you still see yourself as an undisciplined person who is trying to be disciplined, your mind will keep pulling you back towards the behaviors that match that identity. Your brain would rather protect a familiar version of you than create an unfamiliar one. And this is why so many self-improvement journeys fail. People obsess over changing their habits without ever changing the identity of that person who those habits belong to. They try to act differently while still believing that they are the same old person. And that is like swimming against a flowing river. Once you understand how powerful self-identity really is, your priorities need to change. Most people begin self-improvement by chasing external goals that I want to lose 20 pounds, I want to bench 100 kgs, I want to read 50 books a year. But all of those are outcomes. The real battle isn't happening in your muscles or your calendar or your checklist. It's happening in the story you tell yourself about who you are. Instead of asking, how do I lose weight? Start asking, how do I become the kind of person that never skips the gym? Because once your identity changes, your behaviors naturally begin to follow. So now the question becomes, how do you rebuild your identity? And the answer is surprisingly simple. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you believe yourself to be. Every workout is a vote for being someone who exercises. Every page you read is a vote for being a reader. Every healthy meal you consume is a vote for being someone who takes care of his body. Every time you sit down to work, instead of reaching for your phone, you cast another vote for becoming someone who is disciplined. No single vote changes your identity, and just like one ballot doesn't decide an election, one workout will not make you an athlete, but thousands of small votes eventually make the results impossible to ignore. The biggest mistake that people make is that they convince themselves that a new life requires extreme action. So on Monday, they spend 2 hours in the gym, they decide they'll read multiple chapters of a book each night, and they start waking up at 5 a.m, meal prepping, meditating, journaling, quitting sugar, and promise themselves they'll never miss another day. For a week or two, they manage to hold it together, but then the workload becomes heavier than the identity supporting it. And that is when the rubber band snaps. Not because they were lazy, but because they tried to live like someone they hadn't yet become. What I would recommend is that for the first month or two, forget about intensity, forget about outcomes or goals. Simply focus on casting votes. If your objective is to become someone who goes to the gym, don't worry about having the perfect workout or lifting a certain weight. Just show up. Walk in, do 1 or 2 exercises if that's all you can manage, and then leave. If you want to become a reader, don't force yourself to finish a chapter every night. Read for just 10-20 minutes a day and then close the book. The objective isn't to set world records or impress yourself. It's to simply build your identity and convince yourself that yes, this is the kind of behavior that I usually do. Like, think about someone who's gone to the gym 4 or 5 times a week for the last 1 year straight. Do you think that after that they would have to wake up each morning and debate themselves whether they should go to the gym or not? At that point, going to the gym is something they naturally do. It's simply who they are, and that is the goal. Once an identity becomes strong enough, discipline becomes dramatically easier because your actions stop feeling like effort. They are simply an expression of who you have become. And that's when you can start increasing the weight at the gym, that's when you can push harder, and that's when intensity becomes useful to keep things interesting and allow you to make progress. But if intensity comes before building an identity, then it leads to inconsistency. Hey there, if you're serious about changing your life, join The Forge. It's my Discord community where men hold each other accountable, share their progress, and support each other in becoming mentally and physically stronger. It's hard to find like-minded people who are actually on a similar path to self-improvement. I'm hoping that this community fills that gap and brings us together. I've just launched this community, so if you're watching this video, you might just be one of its first members. So hop in, it's quite lonely in there at the moment. Your environment is a constant reminder of who you were. Have you ever noticed that people say that moving to a new city or even a new country completely changed them? They suddenly become more confident, more productive, more outgoing. They start habits they could never stick to in the past. It isn't that a new city magically gave them more discipline. It's because it gave them something even more valuable: a clean slate. Their old routines, their old triggers, old reminders, their old habit loops, they're all gone. The brain is no longer walking through the same environment that reinforced that same identity every single day. For the first time, they get to decide who they want to become. The good news is that you don't have to move across the world to get that effect. You can create a fresh start right where you are. Rearrange your room. Move your desk, replace your wallpaper, buy a small plant, add a lamp, change your bed sheets. Even something as simple as changing the color of your curtains can make your surrounding feel unfamiliar. I know that these changes might seem quite insignificant, but they interrupt the autopilot your brain has been running on for months. Your old environment is full of reminders of who you used to be. A new environment gives your brain permission to start acting like someone new. And here's the thing, your surroundings aren't the only thing shaping your identity. Your physical appearance does that too. Sometimes the fastest way to start feeling like a different person is to physically become a different person. Maybe it's finally time that you get that buzz cut. Maybe it's finally time that you grow that beard. Maybe it's dressing differently. Maybe it's buying clothes that reflect the man that you're trying to become and not the one you have been. Every time you look in the mirror, you are collecting evidence about your identity. And me personally, whenever I find myself drifting into an unproductive phase, one of the first things that I do is get a buzz cut. Not because hair makes me more disciplined, but because it signals to my brain that a new chapter has started. It's a psychological reset button. Now there's one more factor that plays a major role in shaping your identity, and it's the people that are around you. Think about it. If you're trying to become disciplined, but every person around you basically laughs at self-improvement, makes excuses, or constantly invites you back into your old bad habits, you are now fighting an uphill battle. And here's another problem. The people who have known you for years often have a fixed image of who you are, and without realizing it, they will expect you to act like the old version of yourself. And strangely enough, you will often meet those expectations. I have experienced this myself. Whenever I meet my friends from high school or early days of university, I sometimes catch myself slipping into old jokes, old habits, and even old ways of speaking. Not because that's who I am, but because that's who I used to be around them. Believe it or not, our identities are deeply contextual. Different environments or different people bring out different versions of ourselves. This doesn't mean you need to cut out everyone from your life. It means that you should intentionally spend time around people who reinforce the person you are trying to become. People who make discipline feel normal. People who celebrate growth instead of mocking it. People who expect more from you and not less.